All right, peace. Let's talk some boxing. Um, let's talk about the fight that happened yesterday between Usyk and Anthony Joshua. um, my thoughts on it was, and also I'm going to be talking about after the fight when the referees, declared Usyk the winner of the fight. Now, the first couple of rounds, it was more or less to me a seesaw battle between Usyk and Joshua. And to me, Usyk fought, in my opinion, he fought a well-schooled fight. Even though I think that Usyk probably wasn't in tip-top shape, is because of him being over there in the Ukraine, probably doing security or something like that for his country. He probably still got the opportunity to train in things of this nature, but it probably wasn't to the magnitude that he probably wanted it, you know, uh, dealing with the previous fight. But he still did a lot of things that that allowed him to get the unanimous decision. And that this is an old saying in boxing. In order to beat the champ, you gotta beat him. See, and Usyk, in my opinion, even though I think that he wasn't 100%, he still used his experience as a fighter to be able to outwit and outpoint a semi-gamed Joshua. And the reason why I say that he was semi-gamed is because Joshua's problem, and that can come from that comes with sometimes with a lot of boxers. Joshua's problem is that his problem is that he's holding back. That's his problem. See, it's because he has made a lot of money in the sport of boxing, and he, with a lot of boxers, they don't want to have all their faculties messed up. They don't want to become a vegetable in the sport of boxing, which is understandable. But we can clearly see when Joshua is fighting Usyk, he's really holding back. And the reason why I'm saying that is because the first 6 rounds, it was more or less, I hit you, you hit me, I'm going to hit you. Without really Joshua seizing the moment. See, because Joshua is not just fighting for the heavyweight titles to regain them. He's actually fighting for history just as well, because if he would have beat Usyk in this fight, he would have been a 3-time world champion, because he lost to the Spanish brother, I think Luis, I forgot his last name, but he lost to him, and then he came back and regained the titles. So this is basically history for him. If he would have regained those titles, he would have been a 3-time world champion. But the reason why I believe that he lost is because, let me tell you something, and this is a testament to anybody that have ever fought or played sports in general. They use this term all the time. This is what we use. You can't leave nothing in the dressing room. And this is what Joshua has done in the first fight, and he done it in the second fight. And what has he left in the dressing room on each occasion? His heart. See, And I'm not saying that Joshua, I'm not saying that he can't regain that back. You know, who am I to question a person's heart? But, or question his ability. Not so much question his heart, but question his ability to regain that back. He can regain it back. But when he came out against Usyk 2 times, this is what he has left. This is what he has left in the dressing room. This is why in the first 6 rounds, he was not able to go in, bite down on the mouthpiece, and go in and use his weight and pressure and break this guy down. He's clearly the bigger fighter. He's the bigger fighter. Joshua walks around probably almost 300 pounds of muscle. You know, he loses weight, you know, to be a little bit more quicker and things of this nature. But he's clearly the bigger fighter in both contests. So if you're the bigger fighter and you're, you know, I give him credit. He used his jab a lot and stuff like that. But what he didn't do was he did not throw enough punches. He didn't throw enough punches. And he did a lot of good things right. He went to the body and things of this nature, but he wasn't going to the body on a regular basis. It's because he's scared to get hurt. And see, that's going to pose a problem to him in the near future. This is why Joshua, in my opinion, if he doesn't correct this mental, what you would call this mental deficiency about himself, he should retire from the sport. He has won the title 2 times. You know, he done defended it and things of this nature. He done made a lot of money. But he doesn't have the heart and the will to step in there, see, and go to war. Right? He doesn't have that. This is why he lost to Usyk. This is why he lost. It's because when you're fighting, when you're really in the trenches and you're fighting, you don't care about getting knocked out. Not saying that you just gonna walk out there with your chin out and stuff like that and dare a guy to hit you, but what I'm saying is that when you're trying to execute pain on another person to defeat them in something, you're not really worried about the knockout. It's because you're too busy trying to knock the other person out. And see, this is the deficiency with Joshua, is that when he hits somebody, he's scared to get hit back. So the first 6 rounds, Usyk was able to kind of outpoint him is because he just used basic boxing. That's all he used, basic boxing, to outpoint Joshua. Because like the first 6 rounds, I really had Usyk winning the first 6 rounds, not by a major margin. The reason why he was winning those rounds is because Joshua's inability to cut the ring off and throw punches. This is why Usyk was winning the first couple of rounds. To me, now we saw a glimpse of Joshua throwing a lot of punches, I believe the 9th or the 10th round. I think it was the 9th or the 10th round. When he came out and he hit Usyk, hit him with a nice shot, and then he started throwing a barrage of punches. He should have been doing that from rounds 1 to 6, 7. He should have been throwing a lot of punches. But he didn't do it. So now If you're not throwing enough punches and the other person is running around pity patting and slapping you around, you're losing by a small margin. So now you got to do what? You got to play catch up. So he got Usyk hurt around the 9th or the 10th round. Usyk was hurt, see, and I wouldn't say he was more or less really hurt. He was more or less tired. It's because he been over there in Ukraine for a long time. See, the whole training camp of Joshua should have been what? To wear him down. Is because he's not 100%. He's not 100%. And even if he's 100%, you can still wear him down. Is because why? You're the bigger fighter. And this is the problem that Joshua has fighting against certain competition. This is why I'm saying that he probably needs to retire, is because if he's scared to get hit, then he doesn't need to be in the sport of boxing. See, when he fought against Vladimir Klitschko, see, that fight there, he wasn't scared to get hit. When he fought against Dylan Whitey and all these other contenders, and see, he wasn't scared to get hit. See, but we saw a glimpse of that when he fought against what's his name, Parker. When he took the belt from Parker, he was kind of gun shy when he was fighting against Parker, you know. And then when he fought against I think his name Andy Ruiz, he wasn't gun shy from the beginning because he thought he was going to jump up in there and out muscle and out will this guy that was clearly overweight and all this type of stuff. But what happened? The guy hit him and hurt him. See, and ever since then he has been scared to take punches, and we have already heard rumors of him in sparring that he used to get knocked out in sparring. So him being unable to throw a lot of punches stems from training camp, and this is a mental thing for him. See, he wants to retire, which all boxers want to do. They want to retire. They want to go off into the sunset, and they want to be able to enjoy life, the money that they have received and stuff like that from boxing. But a lot of times, that's not the case. And see, when you get into the hurt business, it's just like crime. If you're doing crime, you have to understand that you got to know going in doing crime that it's a possibility that you're going to do what? Get killed, get hurt, or go to prison. And if you don't want to accept that, then you shouldn't be doing crime. And that's the same thing with boxing. If you're not willing to get hurt, it's a possibility that you can become a vegetable boxing, because that's a brutal sport. So if you're not man enough to accept those things, then it's probably not a good idea for you to get into the sport. And see, that's what we're seeing with Joshua. Joshua has a mental issue with being hit. This is why he lost the fight. So I think the 9th or the 10th round, he hurt Usyk. He hit him with a nice shot, and he was hitting him with a barrage of punches. I'm like, okay, if he does this for the 11th and the 12th round, he can stop this guy. He came out in the 11th round. He did the same thing that he was doing the first couple of rounds, jabbing. He'll go to the body for a minute, jab for a minute, go to the head, but he's not punching enough. We're fighting for legacy. We're fighting for to regain the titles. You want to be the third time in history of winning the world titles. So this is a big issue. Or even if you're just fighting for the title, you have to do what? You have to seize the moment. He didn't do that. So uh, he allowed Usyk to come back the 11th and the 12th round and take over the 11th and the 12th round. And also another issue is that it was rumored that he was having issues with his training camp for the whole 8 weeks. I'm trying to figure this out. How you going to have an issue with your trainer? You're the one that hired this man. You have an issue with the trainer. His job is to come in and to look at your strong points and look at your weak points and try to correct some of the weak points that you have. So how you going to be in 8 weeks of training camp having an issue with a trainer? So what does that mean? That's the same thing with Wilder. See, Wilder has an issue with trainers too. Why these guys having an issue with trainers is because a lot of them, they have a big ego. They don't want, see, when you're a fighter, you have to, see, even though you're making more money than the trainer, but you have to, a lot of times, in order to be a great fighter, you have to decrease. You can't be arrogant and trying to be, and then you want to be you want to be recognized as a great athlete. You got to allow the trainer to be what? Number one. It's because it's his job to make sure you're in the best shape, both physically and mentally, before you even step in the ring. So I'm trying to figure this out. How is a fighter having an issue with his trainer that he hired 8 weeks of training camp? That's an ego issue. That's personal. You can't tell me what to do. I make $20 million a fight. Who are you? Why do you need a trainer then? These are some of the keys on why I think that Joshua lost this fight, is because he didn't have, just like the first fight, he didn't have a proper game plan going into this fight against arguably a guy that had a very good amateur career, a guy that unified the cruiserweight division. So he's a well-decorated individual coming up to heavyweight. But the same thing with Joshua, how he looked over Andy Ruiz. He looked at Andy Ruiz as nothing. He looked past him because he was out of shape. And he probably overlooked Usyk the first time because Usyk is coming up in weight. Oh man, I can just wear this chump down. He's gonna give in. I'm gonna knock him out. You can't do that. And then when he got hurt in both fights, when he tried to, even with the Ruiz fight, when they fought the second time, he had a safety approach of fighting Ruiz. He was scared to get hit then. He didn't want to go to war. Even though he beat the guy because the guy was out of shape. But when he fought Usyk this second time, yeah, he fixed he fixed a lot of things. I wouldn't say a lot of things. He fixed certain things. He used his jab. He was hitting Usyk and stuff like that, but he was not throwing enough punches. See, he didn't have desperation to win this fight by any means necessary. So, at the end of the fight, they raised his hand. They raised Usyk's hand. Usyk was declared the winner. Anthony Joshua has a meltdown, in the ring. He throws the man's belts outside of the ring. So what is that? See, not only did he lose because he didn't prepare himself correctly, but in the event of him losing, he's a sore loser. He's a sore loser. He's the reason why he lost the fight. It had nothing to do with his, him being in shape or him using the jab more this time and moving around the ring and stuff like that. he lost the fight is because he did not throw enough punches. He did not get in this guy's face. He did not wear this guy down. See, in order for you to do those things, it's a possibility. It's a, it's not a possibility. It's going to happen. You're going to be hit. See, so him not wanting to be hit is the reason why he lost this fight. So what I'm saying is Anthony Joshua career is really over with if he doesn't correct the mental uh, deficiency that he has, which is taking punishment. Taking punishment. And I don't want to hear about he got a weak chin and all this type of stuff. He really doesn't. He really doesn't have a weak chin. His problem is what? His problem is that when he gets hit, he loses confidence in himself. So if he doesn't fix this, the next fight that he's having, because you know he probably gonna fight for a world title again, but the next fight that he has, he may get himself hurt. So that's pretty much my take on the fight. I thought it was a very interesting fight on both fighters' side. I'm glad didn't nobody get hurt really bad, but Joshua, in order for him to continue to go forward in boxing, he has to do some soul searching. So with that being said, peace.